Well, I did it. A whole year of recording in the history books. Honestly, doesn't feel like it. But at the same time, it does. It is pretty trippy. I mean, the fact that I've set out to do this little habit every single day at the end of each day throughout the entirety of this year, honestly, wasn't expecting to keep up, but the fact that I did is, in a way, a testament to my ability to never give up and to stick to a habit as long as it's something that I think is important or needs to be maintained. So, with that in mind, my New Year's resolution is to remind myself that the fact that I make videos like these every single day and then post them online, regardless of the quality, the fact that I have made it a habit and consistently chosen to do it shows me that I do have the capability of sticking to more habits than just making an update video every single day. So that's something that I think is worth thinking about. And I think it's pretty admirable, personally, but yeah. Well, anyways, moving along, let's get into the daily update. So, starting in the morning, I woke up at around 7:08, a little later than I was originally expecting, but still early enough to be greeted by my mom. She was up and at 'em too, and she wanted to watch the Binging with Babish, Basics with Babish cornbread video, so we could get ideas for how we can make our cornbread. I decided to show her on the TV before we got started, because I find that when I watch someone else do something before doing it, it convinces me that I can do that if I just set my mind to it. Because if they can do it with relative ease and it doesn't look that difficult, then perhaps I have a chance at it myself. And that's exactly what we did with the Binging with Babish video. We watched it from beginning to end, trying to get ideas from each of the recipes he did. One was classic southern cornbread, where it was just using cornmeal, no flour. Another was the northerner cornbread, which used a combination of flour and cornbread along with your leavenings and your rising agents and your eggs, and he put some peppers in there, like jalapenos in there, to increase the savoriness. And then the last big recipe he did in the video, which is the one we decided to use, was one where he simply just browned the butter before mixing all the other ingredients in and cooking the cornbread on a cast iron skillet. We did not have a cast iron skillet to cook it in, so we instead decided to cook it in a regular 8x8 inch pan. So that's exactly what we did. My mom decided to brown the butter. I mixed up the dry ingredients. Once the butter was brown, she transferred it to a glass bowl and then put 2 ice cubes in, or I think it was 4. Mixed those together until perfectly blended, and then mixed in buttermilk. What else? Eggs. 4 eggs scrambled. Not like scrambled and then cooked, just breaking apart eggs. And what else? I think that was it. And then we mixed everything together in a bowl, and we put it in pans and cooked it. We put it in two different pans. One was a flat sheet pan with a slight rim around it, and the other one was a 8-inch cake pan. We wanted to see what would happen if we did it different ways. So as it was cooking in there, my mom needed my help putting up poles on cinder block stands and then drilling those wooden beams, not poles, square beams with wood approved nails, outdoor wood approved nails. And once we had our nails in the bottom base, she would want me to go up to the top of the beam and then drill in a light hanger rim that would go at the very top. Not like at the top where it was like on the head of it, but more so like facing forward on one of the sides. So when we were doing that, in the middle of doing it, our family friend needed to leave, so she asked my mom to move her car out of the way for her, and that's what she did. After she did that, she eventually arrived back, and we continued working on the cinder block and beams. We completed the first one until eventually the timer went off in the kitchen, which meant that the cornbread in the cake pan was ready. So we took that one out. We cooked it for like 25 minutes. We stuck a toothpick in to make sure it came out clean, and when we found that it did, we put it in, we just put it out of the oven and on like one of our heaters, but without turning on the heater on the stovetop. And my mom cut it into 8 slices, and we both tried a piece along with some chili beans she made the other day. I have to say this was really meaty, thick cornbread, but it wasn't thick in a overly like dense way. It was thick in like a nice, satisfying way. I will say it did have a tint of dryness to it, not so much to completely destroy or distract from the flavor in the dish, but enough to be slightly noticeable. But the flavor of the brown butter and the browning on top of the cornbread definitely made up for it and gave it a depth of flavor that made it much more interesting and fun to eat, and I really did enjoy that aspect of it. We then put the cornbread that was in the flat sheet pan in the oven. After we're done eating, and I was looking up on Cartoon Brew about this Disney animator short film called Mushka and where it could be watched. This was animated by Andreas Dejas, I believe. I might be getting that name wrong, but he was one of the more famous animators working at Disney from like the 90s, where he worked on a lot of key characters, namely Scar from The Lion King is one of his more popular characters he helped bring to life. He also helped bring to life Lilo from Lilo and Stitch. So, he's a really prolific guy, and, his bread and butter is 2D animation. And sadly, when Disney moved away from 2D animation around the mid-2000s after Princess and the Frog, he didn't really have much work left, so he decided to just start his own independent studio and make this film called Mushka about a girl who meets a tiger and befriends the tiger, and they go on a fantastic little adventure, and it takes place in like Russia, I believe. So it looks pretty good. I'm definitely going to look into that. Apparently it's available on Amazon Prime Video for $3. Fancy that. So definitely going to look into that. It should be a lot of fun. Well, anyways, after looking into that, when we finished our thick cornbread and our chili beans, which were really good, by the way, my mom decided to have us go back in the back and move a cinder block a little closer to where the other cinder block stand was. But before we put the beam on that cinder block, we instead drilled the little light hanger, metal light hanger, on the top of the beam while it was lying down on the floor before bringing it up and drilling it into the concrete stand, so we wouldn't have to worry about drilling it on when it was already on top of the stand. So that saved us quite a bit of a headache, and yeah, it ended up turning out pretty good, I'd say. Then we decided to go in because around that time the oven turned off and the flat sheet cornbread was ready to take out. So my mom took it out, and when we had it, this one was a bit moister than the previous one, but at the same time it was a lot more bland and not as meaty as the previous one. The previous one had a good, like, satisfying bite to it. This one was sort of a tepid, sort of, I guess I'm being bitten now kind of bite, which is a pretty disappointing bite. And the flavor wasn't exactly that flavorful. I mean, it was okay enough, like it was satisfying enough, but it's not something that you're going to go, wow, that was incredible, I can't wait to eat that again. It was more like, that sure tastes like cafeteria quality cornbread, but with better moisture, texture, and a slight homemade tint that makes it better than cafeteria, but just by a little bit. I mean, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't that bad, but it felt more bland and like something was missing. Then, I decided to put on my work clothes, and suddenly I needed to use the restroom, so I used the restroom. When I was done, I said goodbye to my mom, and I left for work. When I eventually arrived at work, the first 2 hours was spent front end bagging. Not much to really say other than, just fine day, fine customers, said hello, how you doing? Then I would sometimes ask, do you have any interesting plans for New Year's Eve? And most of the comments I got were either, yeah, I'm going to spend it with my family, yeah, I'm going to spend it with my friends, or no, I'm just going to sleep. So, pretty interesting. And after that, I remember before doing my lot, which actually was my last hour. So first 3 hours was front end bagging, by the way. On my second hour, I asked if I could go on my first break. The CSR said yes. I walked up to the break room, and when I arrived in the break room, I decided to do a little bit of breathwork meditation. It was pretty nice, very relaxing, very calming. I liked it. And then afterwards, I went downstairs and I continued bagging for another hour before eventually doing my last hour before lunch, just doing a lot. So that's pretty much how my time was spent. I can't really think of anything too fun to talk about, so I'm just going to move on to lunch. I punched out. I drove off to lunch. When I arrived home for lunch, my sister and my mom were putting on the finishing touches for the jalapeno pepper cornbread, which looked really good. My mom even made a separate cornbread that had bell peppers sliced in it, which looked pretty interesting. And they put those in the oven. And then I asked where our cornbread we made in the morning was, and my mom pointed to a little glass container that was covering them with a lid. So I had some of that. I had some beans with cheese on top. And I also had... What else did I have? I also had the freshly baked cornbread with the jalapenos in it. I have to say, I mean, I could see the potential. The smell was divine, but the actual texture was a little more mushy than I was expecting. I mean, it wasn't overly mushy. Like it still had enough of like a firmness to it to where it was still good, but the texture definitely wasn't like something that I would write home about. It was a bit on the mushier side, which definitely detracted points from the overall experience. But I could see that the cornbread's heart was in the right place. I also had a cup of coffee and a cinnamon sugar flaky cookie that we had from the grocery store. So after eating all that, I said goodbye to my mom and my sister. I left back for work, where the next 2 hours would be spent doing front end bagging and then sometimes doing a takeout order. And then the third hour would be spent doing a lot, where I'd be pushing carts. It was a really busy day today, and understandably so. It is New Year's Eve, so people are most likely going to be shopping for, like, drinks or whatever, so it makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I just had to keep on refilling carts because they always kept on running out. It was crazy. And then the fourth and final hour was spent just front end bagging and doing takeout order deliveries. That's about it. And then after that, I decided to get a Martinelli's. I say goodbye and Happy New Year to all the coworkers in the front end. All my coworkers in the front end. And then I immediately drove home. When I arrived home, our pastor, his wife, and one of our church friends was there, and along with my mom, our family friend, and my sister and myself. My mom offered me some chili beans with cheese, chopped up fresh onions, and bell peppers, and I had that. I ate it. It was really good. I really liked it. And yeah, after eating that, I had like a clump of chips with me that I would go and grab from like the bowl and then bring it with me and dip the chips into the chili, and it was really good. And then we play a little game where we would do a little bit of Bible trivia. It was like basically Pictionary, but like, with Bible stories and verses and characters. And another one, which was the first one we did, was Bible trivia, where we'd be asked a question, Bible centric, and then someone would hit the bell and say what the answer was. And yeah, that was pretty much it. And that's what we did for a bit of a while. It was a lot of fun, really enjoyable, until eventually more guests showed up. There were two twin sisters that showed up, one of their husbands, and a old friend of my mom's. So 4 more guests all appeared on top of the pastor, his wife, and our church friend who helped work with my mom on this thing. And of course, me, my sister, my mom, and our family friend. So overall, it was a party of 11 people, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I really liked the experience. It was fairly lively. It was nice to have a lot of people in the house for once, and just enjoying each other's company. And yeah, I really liked it. I remember being like, asked questions about like what my job is, what I do I like it, things like that. It was pretty interesting. Well, afterwards, everyone eventually left, but we still had about like an hour and a half before New Year's dropped. So me, my sister, my mom, our family friend, and our church friend decided to play some Jackbox, which is a really fun game where like you have games playing on the TV screen, but they also interact with your phone, and you have to use your phone as like sort of like a controller interactivity device with the questions and concepts on the TV to make for a compelling gameplay experience, and it's a lot of fun. Like, we did Quiplash 2, we did The Killing Floor, and we also did T-Shirt Island, which was actually the first one we did. So yeah, overall it was a lot of fun. Really liked it, and I'm really hoping we can do that again. After which, our church friend left. Once the New Year's arrived, we all prayed for each other before she left, and then when she left, my mom and my sister were putting things away, and then eventually, my mom, our family friend, and me decided to watch some highlights from like the year on the TV while my sister was in the other room on her phone. Yeah, not much to really say. Just a lot of things happened, I guess. That's about all I want to really say. After that video, my mom wanted to go to bed. I wanted to go to bed, so I took my vitamins. I brushed my teeth, and I had to move some stuff out of my room because it was put there without my explicit permission about, like, projectors, box screen, and all manner of different things. But, it's all good now. And now I will go to bed because I am sleepy. Wow. It's currently 2:06 a.m. in the morning. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you, well, I'd say next year, but it's this year now. So happy 2026, everyone. We did it, and let's make next year an amazing one. Good night, and have a wonderful year.